should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. Preferably in a residential area.
The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Hoppe Hour.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, dude.
Let's do this. What up? What's happening? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and I've known this dude for about 2 years now, and I really admire his passion for radio because I feel like we're very similar, and we're both quote-unquote millennials, so we're both up-and-comers, and I'm saying that in a humble way. On the phone line is the one and only Michael John Roach. What's up, dude?
How you doing, man? Thanks for that little opener there. I was like, it's been a minute, hasn't it been, since your WNUR days?
Yeah, man, it's weird to think that 2 years ago I was doing an overnight show in Chicago, and now I'm trying to do my thing in Tampa. I keep it low-key where everyone sees my posts. They know what I'm doing, but you're not going to hear me brag about it. But enough about me. What have you been up to, dude? How's everything been, MJR?
Everything's been all right, man. Recently, I got back on the radio here in Phoenix Mesa. I say Phoenix Mesa because I don't know if you've ever been out here, but the thing about Phoenix Mesa is that, like Tampa, Phoenix and Mesa are spread out. So, like where I'm originally from, Philly, everything's so together. Out here, everything is so spread out. So, like I live 30 miles from Phoenix, but all the stations are there. I found a station called FX 99.1. I'm on Saturdays, 11 to 12 p.m. Pacific time. Which would be 2 to 3 your time, East Coast time, and then Sunday, 7 to 10 a.m. my time, which would be 10 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I've been able to do that, get back on the air. It wasn't easy not being back on the air because a lot of stuff went down on my old station. I think that's when I first met you when I was on the Pulse. It's been that long, dude.
Yeah. That's when you were back on the Pulse in Mesa. I don't want to get too much into it, but with the MJR side of everything, what happened?
All right. Well, long story short, I started on the Pulse KVIT FM, which used to be the gold mine because it was a small station that came out of Ghostfield, Ghost Town, near Apache Junction, Arizona, about 10 miles down the road. So basically, I started there. It's a high school radio station. I went there along with my high school, Desert Ridge High School, in the afternoons around the corner from my house. And basically, you know, it's a trade school. It's like a broadcasting school, but it's a trade school where I didn't have to pay a lot of money for it. So it came out of me going to high school. But it was a great station. I think that if I would have never went there, I would have not been able to be the jock I am. I wouldn't have been able to meet you. I wouldn't have been able to meet my best friend, John, in Vegas. I wouldn't have been able to meet a lot of people. And what happened is that I was there for about 3.5 years at the time this happened. And towards the end, after I graduated, I had come back from back home because my uncle had a unveiling. This was 2013, October. And my teacher, the GM and the mentor that I had while I was there as a student, he called me and wanted me to do a Tuesday show there because I was going to go back there for a third year as a student, but it didn't work out. I couldn't get any financial aid for it. So basically, I ended up going to Mesa Community College where I think Drew went there, your buddy Drew, that was in Chicago. And I had gone there, and because in radio, nothing's a sure thing. And being able to get a college degree would be able to allow me to do other opportunities along with the radio. So, you know, what happened there was I started connecting with people the same time. I think it was April 14. I started connecting with people like yourself, your buddy Super Rich,
Paul
and a
Varga.
bunch of people. And Paul Varga. Yep, that's a small world. And I started connecting people. And once my mentor started finding out that I started to connect with people in bigger markets. And let me mention also that this guy who was my mentor only did part-time for 4 years, part-time, 4 different parts on a KZZP, 104.7, the legendary 104.7, KISS FM, iHeart. And he basically started to get really angry with me for the fact that I started taking tips from you and Paul Varga and my buddy John and even Chet Buchanan, of all people. I got a little bit of feedback from him, too. And all the feedback from these great jocks that combined have a ton of more years than we do, but I owe them a lot because what they were able to do for me was give me feedback that wasn't biased, wasn't one-sided. It was basically to the point where they gave me the feedback and they said, hey, this is how you can improve it. And I took that, and basically what happened there was that I was doing my show one day. They moved their station for the summer to a strip mall around the corner from my house because they do the station at Evett, which is 20 miles from my house where I go to college at Dobson. And basically they moved their station to the strip mall for 2 months, and it was a disaster that the program director later said he never wanted to do. But, I went there, did my show. I love the radio. I love that station so much because I was there 3 months after they got a FCC license to be a radio station. So I was pretty much there the whole time they did that. And, not to go back too far, but I started there at that radio station because my mom, funny story, my school didn't want to send me there because I'll be honest, the radio saved me from not doing anything because my first couple years of high school, my grades were horrible. People made fun of me because I had a disability, and they made fun of me because they didn't know how to be nice, these people in high school. And being able to go to Evett because my mom lied to me and she said, oh, we're going to go to the doctor's one day. It was one day during the summer, and ever since that's what got me on this path. And basically, the one day during 2 years ago during the summer, I was doing my show, and I went to this remote at a Best Western in Mesa. And I gone there, and let I remind you that they had flipped their station to the Pulse when it was originally called the Gold Mine. Didn't give me a T-shirt, didn't give me any station attire. There was no human resource department for me to go to voice my displeasure, which should have been good. If they had a human resource, I could have went there and not had a problem. But I go there, and I'm respectful. I'm talking as I'm professional, like I am with you right now. And basically, I go to there, and I say, hey, I'm a DJ. I do a Tuesday 9 to 11 show. I'm very proud of it. I'm also originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, South Jersey, where I'm from, that I'm proud of that. And long story short, I'm talking to these people, and the sales lady, who I don't even know what part she had there because she really wasn't a sales lady, but she went back and told my mentor teacher, the general manager, that I was talking too much, that I was saying that I'm happy because I only have a one-day a week show, that I was a volunteer and all this crap. And, it's one of the things where all this stuff started getting spread. And eventually I got very mad about it. And another thing was they were making fun of one of my buddies that I went to Evett with for a couple of years because he drove a yellow 2005 Ford Mustang. And these people that made fun of him, the station workers, their coworkers, whatever it was, made fun of him, but they didn't even have a car like that. And I was jealous because, you know what, I like a Mustang, but this kid was happy. And I went on Twitter and I stood up for him. I didn't say the Pulse is mad at this guy for having a car. No, I said management is wrong for making fun of this kid for having a Ford Mustang. And then my mentor gives me a call saying, oh, you're in trouble because you put this on there and you put that on there. And I told him the tweet that I said. And because of that, he was going to suspend me for 3 months indefinitely when I wasn't getting paid, might I add. And I love that station so much. I did it out of the goodness of my heart because I love radio. And the fact of it is, for him to try to suspend me for 3 months indefinitely, then go and call my mom because he really liked my mom stood up for me for a lot because in my first couple of years there, I was still learning how to stick up for myself. I learned a lot of things from being on the radio. That's why it means so much to me to be able to connect with you and people like Paul and John and everybody because they've given me more self-motivation and strength that I know I can do this, And basically after he called me and told me that, then he called my mom, say, oh, I'm not going to suspend him. And then the next day I get a text in the morning saying that I am suspended indefinitely because the sales lady, might I add, decided to make a beef for the fact that he didn't want to take me off the air because he knew that I really enjoyed it. And he knew I was one of the best docs on that station, not getting a big ego. I took my stuff seriously. And, and it was one of those things where after that, I was like, I'm not dealing with this. And they went on their Twitter rampage, making fun of me, all this stuff. And, it's one of those things where for the last year and a half, I'll be honest, it's been hell and really crappy because I haven't been able to be on the air. I've been doing my podcast. And I didn't really want to bring him up, but, my buddy John, who without him, I don't know where I'd be at because this guy has done a lot for me. I've traveled with him from when he did his show in Denver to Vegas. This guy has done a lot for me. And, and another thing, knowing you, you've given me a lot of advice that I probably wouldn't have got from John, from a young person's perspective from around my age that, you going from Chicago to Cleveland to Tampa. That's a lot of things to do, man. That's a big jump,
Yeah, man. What I like about you two is you're very open on the show. I never knew basically everything that went down, so it's really good to hear everything that went down. But one thing I notice is in radio, man, I'm not saying they were threatened by your talent, and I'm not saying that when I was in Cleveland, they were threatened by my talent. But what I notice about radio is if you're really young, man, and you're really passionate, it can sometimes come off annoying. But what we need to do, because we're the young, annoying talent that want to make it, what we need to do is just prevail and keep doing our thing, man. And that's what you're doing, and that's what I did. I basically showed people what I could do here in Tampa Bay. I keep it humble. I never brag about it, but I got fired by Rover's Morning Glory in the most embarrassing, awful way possible.
I saw that, and I'll be honest, that was the same time I was seeing my buddy John at the Wolf in Denver, and I saw that. Excuse my language. I thought that was the biggest load of bullshit for them to do it. The way they treated you was ridiculous, and I'm like, this is from somebody you idolized, and for someone to do that, I was like, that's really disrespectful what they did.
It doesn't matter, though. It's in the past. My point is, good things happen to people that have talent, and good things happen to people that have passion and that are humble like you. So what I want to ask you is, with this new time slot that you have, how are you going to use each and every second for this new gig you have? How are you going to show people what MJR is about? What's your plan?
My plan is on the Saturday 11 to 12 p.m. Pacific show to provide the best content I can to continue to inform people in Phoenix and East Valley that, I enjoy what I do. I care about people. I care about our listeners. I care about our community. And on the Sunday show, do exactly what I do on Saturday, but an extra 2 hours where, if I hear about something going on in the community, like a bake sale or adoption for pets, anything that goes on around our community, Phoenix Mesa, any important news, any alternative stuff, anything I can find that has something to do with me or the radio station or the community, that's what I'm going to put on my show.
Who are some guys that have influenced you to go into radio? Because a lot of times when I see people our age that want to go into radio, I feel like they just want to go into it for the perks and they have no personality. But what I'm able to pick up from you is you're very similar to me where you have the passion and it seems like you have a plan. Yeah. So I'm assuming there's people that influenced you to go into this business. For me, it's Howard, Opie, people like that. Who are some of your influences that bring you this passion?
Well, when I lived originally back in Philadelphia, South Jersey, I am going to say it right now. The one station that influenced me the most before I moved to Arizona in June of 2005, WOGL 98.1 CBS FM oldies, CBS station, oldie station. WOGL FM was one of the stations that influenced me the most because my parents listened to it. It was an oldies format. These people were so kind and gentle. It was unbelievable. I mean, I would see them all over South Jersey, all over Philadelphia. I mean, these people would come out of their special time, their free time, their weekends with their family, and they would literally shake your hand. And I can call a few names. Bob Charger, Ross Britton was one of them. He's from Chicago. I know that. Those guys, Valerie Knight, the morning show lady there, she was here in Phoenix at Cool FM, which is another great station here. Towards my time in Arizona, I would have to say definitely listening to Kiss FM. And more recently, when I first met my buddy John Moog in Vegas on KLUC FM, where Kayla's at, that's meeting him, it influenced me, and I've learned so much from him that I probably will never be able to pay him back because. And you too. I mean, you and John and those guys are people that influence me that tell me that I can do this, And you send me feedback on my air checks, and John doing it, and these people that give me feedback to let me know that I can do this has calmed me down a lot more and gave me more motivation to continue to kick ass and strive to be the best jock I can be.
What's some of the best advice that John has given you and other people like Chet over the years about your on-air personality? What's some of the best advice you've gotten?
Chet, I've only Chet, I really didn't talk to a lot, but John has given me some of the greatest advice I could get on life and radio. Might I add that John was in Denver, and John went there, and he was there for a while, and it's not easy, especially for you that you jumped from Chicago to Cleveland now to Tampa. Moving in radio is part of the business, but it's tough, and to see how he dealt with going from Vegas, where he was at for his whole life, and then going to Denver, and hearing him that he was kicking ass in Denver without a co-host for a little bit, it showed me that this guy knew what he was doing. This guy was motivated. This guy loved it like I do. And the best advice he's given me is that, don't burn bridges, don't burn bridges with people. You never know if you'll work with these people again. Good things happen to people that work hard, as in, he's given me software and stuff that I could use on my computer for my air checks. And, I talk to him every day. I talked to him actually 5 minutes ago. So he's like a brother to me. He's like you, but he's, someone I'm super, super close with. Like I'm going to Vegas in like 3 weeks to go see him. So, he's somebody that has given me so much knowledge and advice. I mean, he's like a part of the family. He's just like a family person that, if I need some advice on not even radio stuff, life stuff, he's always there.
Now, my dream market would have to be a city that would embrace FM talk, and I really want to make it here in Tampa Bay because I like the weather and I like everything about Florida. What is your dream market? Name off some cities. Would it be Philadelphia? What are some of the dream markets for MJR?
Well, some dream markets for me, I mean, it would be awesome to work here in Phoenix, but I'm not bad-mouthing Arizona, but Arizona is just not my place. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not just saying that because I had a bad experience at a high school radio station or that I like the FX 99.1 station I'm on now. It's just one of those things where it's like, I feel like Arizona is not the place I want to be at my whole life. Like, I understand in radio, you got to go to small places and work your way up. Like, if my dream market, if I had to name only one name, would be Philadelphia. And I understand that that's going to be something that's going to take a while, maybe not even never, but because, the way radio is today, I mean, there's no overnight positions, there's no this, there's no that. Not saying it's because of iHeart, but it's just because, in today's world of radio, everybody, gets the radio from their phones and et cetera. But, if right now my dream would be able to find a full-time radio personality, and the long-term dream would be go to Philadelphia and be back on my home radio. So.
Now, if you were to have a show, would you want to do a night show, afternoons, or would you want to be the top guy in the morning? Have you thought about this aspect yet?
I've thought about it, and, I understand in radio that you got to work your way up, and I haven't really thought about the morning aspect of it. I've more thought about the fact that I would take any shift I could do. If I could go back to Philadelphia the next day and start out doing part-time and weekend, working my way up, I would like to be a night guy. I've learned a lot from my buddy John, who, let me add that this guy was the number one rated radio personality in nights in the entire city of Las Vegas for 6 years before he went to Denver. And seeing him do that was like, I want to be the next big night personality, because there's just so much energy into this show. And, seeing how he did it, I feel like, that would be something I could be really great at. So.
Now, where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? For me, I want to have a job in radio, so it's my one job, so I don't need a second job. And that's why I grind each and every day. For you, MJR, where do you want to be in 2021?
That's one of those things where, I've fought, that's 5 years, a little bit too long. I've looked at like the next year and a half, 2 years. I'm planning on getting my associate degree in music business and audio production next May of 2017, where I'll be able to have a degree. And after that, because I can't relocate anywhere right now because I've come too far on the college classes, and I'm planning on either going to Vegas to see if I could maybe help out with John. I'd like to stay in the Southwest, but, wherever I can find a radio job, I'm going to take it. So.
Now, before I let you go, if you see your tweets or anybody has ever seen them, we all know that you're very passionate for Philadelphia. We all know that you love Philadelphia. We all know you breed Philadelphia. We all know you're going to die for Philadelphia. But, MJR, please explain to me and please defend Philadelphia. After last night's despicable game against the Capitals, why should we even give this city a chance full of scumbags? Please explain.
Well, let me stop you right there. We're not scumbags. But
what are you? What are you guys then? Explain to me, yelling during the national anthem and flicking off players. I'm not even trying to be mean. I literally want to have some insight before I go into my rant after this interview. Please explain to me why I should even give the city of brotherly love a chance. Go on.
All right, well, I don't know if you saw the entire game last night, but last night, I'll be honest, there were a group of people in Philadelphia that decided to take it way, way farther than I would have done. Trust me, I was pissed off last night. It was a disaster. And I can understand where they're coming from for the point, not of throwing bracelets, but the fact that game got so out of hand after a while. And I'll be honest, we are we are really overmatched. The Capitals are way better than us. I'll be honest about that, for the fact that last night was just a disaster, and the fact that the refs were not calling the game fair. That's one thing, but that gave us the fans no excuse to start throwing things. And, the Philly fans can get very amped up. It's one of those things where, the Sixers are doing really bad, and it's hard to be a Sixers fan. The Phillies are in the tanking mode. The Eagles are all over the place. And Philly sports is one of those things where it's always changing. One of the guys you probably have heard of or know, Brian Haddad, Sludge, he's on He's on 94.1 WYSP, not YSP, WIP. That used to be the station before it. But I see his tweets all the time, and I don't know how he deals with it, because working on sports radio in Philly has got to be the toughest job to deal with, because it's one of those things where it's like sports is always changing, and there's always something going on in that city, and it's usually not positive. And last night was just one of those things where you can't judge an entire city off. You
kind of can't, dude. There's a reputation for a reason. I'm not saying every fan is like that, but, dude, I don't think you're going to like my next segment, man, after this. Oh, boy.
It's one of those things where everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And I'll be honest, I knew when the fans started throwing things, everybody was going to go completely apeshit crazy about the fact that, our fans threw things. And I'll be honest, our fans wear their hearts on their sleeves every time they go to a game, every day. And it's one of those things where, if the Flyers were up in that game or it wasn't a 6-1 game, that would never happen. But, there are a good amount of fans that do not do that. And they're the fans that chose to do that and give us more penalties. And, and that's just one of those things where, if that was a different type of game, that would have never happened. But, I like I say, you can't judge the city off one bad thing, and just because we threw snowballs at Santa Claus back in the 60s, that's,
Well, yeah, man, that makes sense. You didn't change my opinion whatsoever, but you gracefully tried to, man. Before I let you go, MJR, where can people find your work online and on the radio? What are you up to?
All right. Saturdays, I just got added to do a 11 to 12 p.m. Pacific time, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. Arizona is 3 hours behind the East Coast from you. So 11 to 12 p.m. on Saturday, my time, 3 hours later for you guys in the East Coast. Sunday, I'm on 7 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, which would be 10 to 1 p.m. East Coast on FX 99.1 in Phoenix Mesa, and online at fxalternativeradio.com. And I also do a dance EDM podcast on Fridays, various times, at michaeljohnroach.podomatic.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at michaeljohnroac, and on Instagram at michaeljohnroach radio, and Facebook, you got Michael John Roach. So,
well, dude, keep up the good work, man. I love your vibe. Your voice has come by so much far. Dude, it's just impressive, man. I love everything about you. You got this passion, man, that reminds me of myself. But what I like about you is you're just so much more friendlier. I'm the guy that's outspoken, but you do a really good job of being relatable and being likable on the radio. So I see big things for you, man. We got to represent our generation that gets way too much hate.
I appreciate that, man. And I was going to say, being like that, that's not a bad thing. I was going to say, you're from Chicago. You guys are tough. You guys are very tough.
Everybody's been saying that. My neighbors have noticed recently that I've gotten more confident, and they're like, are you from the Midwest? And I'm like, yeah. They can notice by the way I talk, not just my accent, but the confidence and the swagger of my opinion. It's definitely a Midwest thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was also gonna say you can be more confident. Hopefully the Blackhawks can go farther than my team because we're gonna get swept tomorrow. It's sad to say that, but hopefully the Blackhawks can go pretty far.
Damn right, man. I'm also rooting for the Lightning just because I like working Lightning gigs for 102.5 The Bone, and it gives the city something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Lightning are doing really well. I remember when I was younger, freaking 10 years ago, it was 11 years ago, right before I left, actually, the Lightning played the Flyers in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I was going to go to one of the games, but I never got a chance to go. But the Lightning, yeah, man, that's cool that they're coming back and that there's actually playoff hockey in Florida.
Well, dude, keep up the good work, man. My bad on taking forever to book this segment. I'm not even like an important person. I feel like it was too hard to book this. I'm glad I could finally get you on, and I would love to have you on again, dude.
Hey, anytime, man. I mean, I'd love to be on the show. I'll be honest, this show has also helped me, too, by listening to the various personalities you have on here. Like Charlemagne's interview was gold, man. That taught me a lot. The one you did with Zach Sang and the gang, who's also from New Jersey like me, I learned a lot from him. And also the one from, what's her name, Kelly Raspberry from the Kid Craddock Show. Your podcasts have really provide a lot of insight and help into what I like to do as well.
Hell yeah, bro. I'll be sure to spread the word of the up-and-comer MJR, and be sure to spread the word of Hoppe Hour in Mesa. Sounds good, bro?
All the time, dude. Yes, I got you, dude.
Hell yeah, man. Keep up the good work, dude.
Thank you, man.
All right, bye.
Bye, man.
And that was MJR. I've known this guy for 2 years now, and what I like about him is his swagger and his demeanor and his passion is very similar to me. And I'm not saying that like everyone needs to be compared to me, but what I'm saying is not a lot of people my age want to put in the work to make it in radio, and that's what I liked about him immediately was how hardworking he is and how far he's come. If you want to check out his work, it's Michael John Roach on Twitter, and I will be sure to tweet it out, and I'll tweet out this segment at Ryan Hoppe Radio. This has been Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, saying peace out.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.